single variable. If you want to store multiple values in a single variable, then what happens is the existing value will be overridden with the new value. For example, I have the code like var a, variable name is a, assignment 10. After some statements, after 10 statements or 20, n number of the statements, if you write b assignment 20, or let us say same a assignment 20. So in this case, the existing value 10 will be overridden with the new value. Okay. Simply 10 will be deleted, 20 will be stored in the variable a in simple terms. Okay. But now I have one requirement where I want to store multiple values, more than one values in a single variable. But whenever we are trying to store second value, automatically the first value will be deleted. So this is the problem with a normal variable. But how can we store multiple values? So solution for this problem is arrays concept. We can store multiple values with single variable name. We can store multiple values in a single variable with help of the arrays concept. Okay. Then how to create array and what are the properties array has? While you are trying to store multiple values in arrays, those elements must be belongs to same data type. For example, if you observe this statement, variable array name, okay, you can give any name by following the identifier rules. Identifier rules means that variable should not have spaces. You should not use any keyword name as a variable name. You should not use any special symbols, and that variable name should not start with the number. You must follow these rules. By following these rules, you can give any name to your array, but give the appropriate name depending on the context is suggestible. Now, in this example, ARR is my array variable name. var space ARR assignment within the square brackets. Number one, point number one. You must remember that array elements must be included within the square brackets, starting square bracket, ending square bracket. So within the square brackets, you can write the elements separated with comma. Suppose if you want to store integer elements, you must write integer elements separated with comma. 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50 and so on. N number of the elements you can store. Okay, but you cannot store mixture of the data types. Here only I am using integer data type values. You should not use float and int. That is wrong. If you want to store float values, you must create float array only. All the elements must be belongs to float only. Like that, you can create integer array valid, float array valid, character array valid, but don't mix up the elements. Remember this point. Okay. And one more example, variable marks. I want to store the marks. Marks are like 56, 78, 34, and so on. This is also a valid statement which is used to create the arrays concept. No. Coming to the memory allocation, how the memory will be allocated to elements of the array. All the elements are stored in the memory in the consecutive manner, in the sequential manner. First element, then second element, then third element, and so on. In which order you are storing those elements in the array, in the same order, in the memory, the elements are stored. Next point is how to access those elements. To access those elements, we use index mechanism. What is index mechanism? Coming to the index mechanism, we use the index values, starts with 0 and ends with length minus 1, where length equals to how many number of the elements the array has. That is called length of that particular array. For example, see this. I am creating an array by using this statement. Variable array assignment 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 separated with comma. Okay. And all are integer values. Don't use mixed values. Now, the first element is always indicated with zero index. That is fixed. Second element is indicated with 1. Third element is indicated with 2. Every time that will be incremented. 3, 4, and so on. So starting index is 0, ending index is 4. 4 means length minus 1. Length means how many elements it has. It has 5 elements now. So 5 minus 1, 4. So at index 4, we have 50. So the point is always index value starts with 0, ends with length minus 1. Clear? Now, right. Now, next point is how to read and write the array elements into the array. See this? First, the array can be accessed using index mechanism. We covered that point. Next point you need to understand. We use square bracket to use the index values. We need to use square brackets to use index values. And how to use this index value? Very simple. For example, see the different example. First, I want to store only single element. I want to store only single element. See this example, variable A assignment within the square brackets, within the double quotation marks. I am writing JavaScript. Here, JavaScript is a string type, one word. Okay, that must be treated as one string constant, only one string element. Like that, if you want to store one element, you can store it. After that, if you want to add multiple elements or more elements to the existing array, you can add it. That is valid. Next element. Suppose I have an array and I stored some elements. I want to assign one array element to the another variable. How to assign that? Very simple. See, variable space value, where value is a variable name. Okay. And we are storing a of 0. A of 0 means a is an array, 0 is an index. What is the element available at index 0 that will be assigned to the variable value? So this is how to access or how to read the data from the arrays concept. And you can read or you can access the array element. You can use it as per your requirement. If you want to assign to any variable, you can assign it. Or if you want to use it in any calculations, you can use that. Next, suppose I want to update the value. We created one array. After that, I want to update the value. I want to update the value which is at index 1. A index 1 assignment 4.14. Nothing but the value 4.14 is going to be stored at index 1 in the array A. So that is the meaning of this statement. Next, let me show you one more example here. I assignment to a normal variable and assigning to I of 3. What does it mean is array name is A, index is 2, na? I value is 2. So A of 2 equals to 3. So the meaning of that is we are going to store the element 3 at second index. Like that also we can use the indexes. If you want to use direct constant at the square bracket as an index value, valid. Otherwise, you can store index value in any variable and you can use that variable in the square bracket. You can use that also. That is also valid. Next case is you can write expression also in the square bracket. See, I plus 1 is an expression. Okay, a of I plus 1. In this example, I equals to 2. Nothing but 2 plus 1. That is 3. A of 3 equals to world. So what will be happened if you write the code like this? The string world, the string world is going to be stored at the third index of the array A. So like this is the different cases, how to access, how to update, how to store the values into the variable, how to use variable in place of the indexes, and how to write the expression in the place of the index. All these we covered here. Now, next example is, see, here we are going to write a JavaScript code. With help of that code, we are going to create and display the array elements. How to write the code? See, HTML, that is the starting tag, and HTML ending tag. As usual, body tag, and at the last, body ending tag. Then, this is important point. Within the script tag, within the body tag, we are writing the script tag. In this example, script, nothing but we are going to write JavaScript code. Variable, array variable name is array, assignment. Within the square brackets, you can write the elements. In this case, I want to create integer array. Nothing but all the elements must be integer type. This is creation. Okay. Creating the array. Now, I want to display the elements one by one. How to write that? As we covered just now, we can use index mechanism. document dot write, or you can use console dot log, two are valid. Document dot write array name, array at zero index. I want to print the zero index element. As we covered already, first index always zero, last index is length minus one, where length equals to number of the elements exist in the array. So 0 is the first element index, next 1, next element index 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Every time incremented by 1. Now array of 0. What is the value available at array of 0? That is 10. So 10 will be printed in the output first. And break tag is used to create a new line. So the cursor comes to the new line in the output. In the next line, we are trying to print the value which is located at index 1 in the array ARR. So in the ARR array, index 1, here we have index 1. And what is the value available at this index is 20. So that will be printed in the output. Again, after break tag, we are using to create a new line to print the next element in the new line. Like that, if you want to print all the elements with help of the index values, you can write array variable name and within the square bracket, write the index value. So last index value is 4 now. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. All the elements are printed one by one. Then close the script tag, body tag, and HTML tag as usual. So if you run this code, you will get the output 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. As we are observing here, we are getting the output. Next example is, so in the previous example, we covered how to create the array, how to store the elements in the array. And here the important part is, while we are printing the array elements, we are writing 5 document dot write statements. Observe 5 document dot write statements. Because we have 5 elements in the array, we need to write 5 times the output statement. That is fine because we have only limited number here. For example, if you have 100 elements in the array or 1000 elements in the array in the real time, whenever you are working with projects, you have 1000 elements in the array. So how many times we need to write this document dot write? 1000 times. But it is not a big logic. Writing a simple output statement is not a big logic. But we are spending a lot of time to write the output statement. So that is not correct. So this is the problem with this approach. Then what is the solution we have for this drawback? We can overcome the problem what we covered just now. That is, if we have a large number of the elements in the array, we cannot use a simple document dot write statement because that must be right equal number of the elements in the array. Now we have the solution, that is arrays with loops concept. If we use looping concept along with the arrays, no need to write that many output statements. So to simplify the concept, I am using 5 elements here. I created an array. The elements I stored in that array is 5. Next, we are writing output statement. In that, we are writing document.write. Array elements are then break. Nothing but just I want to print a heading. Array elements are. Now, this is important point. Observe here. I'm using for loop here. You can use any loop as we covered as last session. While, do while, for loop. You can use any looping. But here I am using for loop. So this part is initialization part. This part is condition part. This part is increment part. We covered already, right? For variable I assignment 0, nothing but starting index value, I less than 5, where 5 is the last element index value. Observe here, less than or equals to 5 also you can write there 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maximum elements we have 5. So last element, fifth element, index value is 4. So we need to print the values where those index values are 0 to 5, 0 to 4. 4 is nothing but less than 5. So that's why you can write the code I less than 5. Otherwise, you can write like this I less than or equals to 4 also, because last index is 4 na? So the index value starts from 0. That is initialization part we specified I assignment 0. Every time that is incremented by 1. In the increment part, we have written I plus plus. What does it mean? At each and every iteration, the I value will be incremented by 1. Nothing but we are moving from 0th element to 4th element in each and every iteration. In first iteration, we print 0th element, and next iteration, the I value will be incremented by 1. 0 plus 1, 1. First index element value displayed. In the next iteration, third element. In the next iteration, fourth. In the next iteration, 0. Fourth index is last index, na? So there is no fifth index. But after completion of the fourth index element printing, the I value becomes 5. And the condition we have is I less than 5, where I value is 5. 5 less than 5. Obviously, that is false. So whenever the condition becomes false, it comes out from the loop. So there are no any statements in the looping concept. So script body HTML closing tags. So the program will be terminated here and you will get the output like this. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So this is, so you will get the question like write a JavaScript code to print arrays. So previous method is also valid. This method is also valid. But whenever you have the elements to the large extent, hundreds or thousands, it is very difficult to follow this approach because we need to write the output statement so many times that is equal to the elements present in the given array. Suppose in the given array, if you have 500 elements, you need to write document.write 500 times. So it is not correct. That's why we use for loop. Just we need to write single statement. No need to write 500 times document.write. Write only once, execute 500 times or 1000 times. N number of the times you can execute it. But you can write only one time. That is the advantage of looping concept we covered. So here I am using for loop. Using the for loop, you can print all the array elements values, even though the I value is 500 or 1000 also. So in our example, we are storing 5 elements. For example, if you want to store 1000 elements, then how to write this condition? I less than 1000. 2000 elements. I less than 2000. That's it. And every time the next number is generated by adding plus 1 to the existing number. This is my requirement here. That's why I'm writing I plus plus. For example, if you want to print 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so on, odd numbers. Then the first number is 1. So you must write the initial value is 1. Okay. Next, you can write I plus 2. I assignment I plus 2. Every iteration, the two value will be added to the existing value. So this is how to use for loop, and how to use for loop with arrays concepts also we have seen now. Next, string as arrays. In all programming languages, the common concept we observed is strings. Why we are saying that string is also an array? Very simple. The definition of the string is a string is a collection of characters or a group of characters. And that is used to store and manipulating the text. Group of the character is nothing but multiple characters we are storing, and that string data type is used to store the data and manipulate the data, where data is text in this case. The number of characters written inside single quote or double quotation mark, that is considered as string constant. For example, let variable name, string assignment, string value is within the double quotation marks. We can write any name. Of course, anything that is also valid. But if you write any name, that should be enclosed within the single quotation or double quotation, that is treated as string variable. Okay, that is treated as string variable value. So in this statement, str is a variable. The value we are trying to store in str is Vijay Bhattu. Clear, I hope. Next example, as I said to you already, let string variable name, assignment, double quotation mark any name, double quotation mark valid. And the next statement is same thing, but here I am using single quotation marks. This is also valid. So finally, you must understand that the string constant means string value. String value is must be enclosed within single quotation mark or double quotation marks. Two are valid in JavaScript. Now, how to find the length of the given string? Like in C programming language, also we can write some logic with help of the length property. And in some programming languages, we have the predefined functions or predefined properties. With help of that, we can find the length of the any object. So in the JavaScript, we have the property called length. The property name is length, that is used to find out the length of the given string. And what is the meaning of length is how many characters the string constant has. That is called length of the given string. For example, see this Jubilee Hills. Okay. So the length of the string 2 is count the characters including spaces. If you have any spaces between two words, that is also calculated as string constant value. So how many characters it has including space, that becomes length of this str2, length of string 2. Next, as of now, we covered about the arrays concept, but in that array, we covered that is single dimensional array. Single dimensional array means we can store the data in single row or single column. That is called single dimensional array. And we can create multi-dimensional arrays also. Okay. In C language, CPP, Java also, we can create multi-dimensional arrays. So in the same way, the JavaScript also, we can create a multi-dimensional array. See now, a multi-dimensional array in JavaScript is an array that contains, this is important point, that contains other arrays as its element. What does it mean? Array of array. Every element is also an array. Contains other arrays as its elements. That is called multi-dimensional array. Or simply, we can give the definition like two-dimensional array is also called multi-dimensional array. If you want to represent any data in the form of the table in by using rows and columns, we use multi-dimensional array, or more specifically, if you want to say, you can say that two-dimensional array. Okay. You can use two-dimensional array to represent the data in the form of tables, rows and columns. Now, see the syntax, how to create multi-dimensional array. You can use var or let to our valid space two-dimensional array name. In this example, two-dimensional array name is mat, represent matrix, because generally matrix is also a form of combination of rows and columns, right? So you can give any name as per your requirement. Mat assignment within the square bracket. Observe here, one square bracket is open and another square bracket is ended, and that ending square bracket, after the ending square bracket, you must write semicolon. That is used to represent, that is the ending point of the array. Here that is multi-dimensional array. Now, see, let variable name matrix mat represent matrix assignment within the square bracket. This is one element, but this is again an array na? So this is what we covered in the definition. In the multi-dimensional array, the elements are arrays, and the second element is 4 5 6, that is second row, third row, like that. How many rows you want to store, that many you can store. That is called two-dimensional array. Okay, like this we can create multi-dimensional arrays also. Now, see the important point. Console.log mat 0. This is matrices. Na? So internally, these are stored like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like this, these values are stored. Now, how to identify these individual elements? We use the same index mechanism for rows and columns. So rows index values are 0, 1, 2, and columns index values are 0, 1, 2. Like that, you need to write indexes or indices values to rows and columns. Now, how to identify first element? See now, suppose I want to identify this element. How to identify that? First, you must observe what is the row index, 0. What is the column index? Also 0. So what is array name? Matrix. Matrix 0, 0. That indicates first element 1. For example, if you write matrix, that is mat 1, 2, row index 1, column index 2. So this is row index na 1. Column index is 2. This is 2. 1 and 2. Intersection part of 1 and 2. What is that? 6. So if you read the code like console.log mat1 2, 1 in the one square bracket, 2 in another square bracket. If you write like that, you will get the output 6. Okay. Suppose if I want to print only single element, how to write the code? This is about that. And this one is how to print a single row or single column. Okay. So suppose I want to print a single row, just array name 0. I'm not writing any column name here, only row. So zeroth row, 1, 2, 3. So this will be printed. So like that, depending on your requirement, you can go for the using of indexes. So matrix 0, nothing but 0th row, 1, 2, 3. You can observe here in the output, we have 1, 2, 3. 1 comma 2, first row, second column. So this becomes first row, and columns means 0, 1, 2, second column. Okay. 1, that is row, and 2 is the column. 2 is the column. Okay. 0, 1, 2. So finally, the 6 is the value. Okay. If you want to get clear idea, you can write like this 0, 1, 2. For the columns also, you must write 0, 1, 2. Okay. First column, first row. This is first row. Okay. In the first row, we have second column. Observe here. This is second column. This is first row. What is intersection part? 6. So that's why you will get 6 as an output. Next point is very, very important topic, functions concept. Before starting the concept, let me tell you what is the use of function, why we need to use functions concept. For example, I need to develop a big project. Okay, I have a requirement. I need to develop a big project. Let us assume that that project has 1,000 lines of the code. That project has 1,000 lines of the code. If you write sequentially the 1,000 lines, it is very difficult to you. It is very difficult to find the bugs and correct the bugs. Okay. That's why generally what we do is in the real time, we need to divide that a big project into small tasks. For example, my application is bank related application. So as a developer, you must think that what are the main tasks we need to implement by using that software. So that if that is a banking related software, the important tasks are frequently used operations in the banks or deposit the money, withdraw the money, checking the balance, and so on. So here I identified three tasks, let us say. Initially, I identified three tasks: deposit, withdraw, and checking the balance. So while developing the code, you need to write three functions where each and every function is used to implement a particular task. Nothing but I need to develop three functions. One function is used to implement withdrawal concept. One function is used to implement deposit concept. One function is used to check the balance. So like that, we need to identify the different tasks in your program, in your application or project. We need to develop a function to implement that particular task. So this is the definition of the function. A function is a block of the code or group of the statements that is used to implement a particular task, that is used to implement a specific task. This is the definition of the function. Now, what is the main advantage of the functions? Code reusability. What does it mean? For example, I have a function in my application or in my project. If you want to implement the same task with different input values, suppose I have a function called sum. Define sum. Within the body, I have written C assignment A plus B. C assignment A plus B. Nothing but addition of the two numbers. So if you call that function with the 10 comma 20, you will get 30 because 10 plus 20 is 30. You can call the same function with different values also, right? Sum 1 comma 2. So it returns 3 because 1 plus 2 is 3. So here what you need to observe is we are using same code for different input values. We are using the same code again and again. No need to write the separate code for the different values. That is called code reusability. That's why we can say that the functions have the property write once, use many times. Code reusability means develop the function once and you can use how many times you want to implement that. Same functions can be called multiple times with multiple values, with different values. So this is the main advantage of the functions. Next advantage is you can write the different modules. Module is nothing but a part of the project. Generally, while you are working with the projects, we divide those projects into modules, where module is a part of the project and different modules are implemented with to implement different tasks. Or simply a module is the part of the project. Okay. So as we covered already, functions are allowed to the programmer to divide a big program into small and manageable functions. If you divide a big program into small programs, that is very easy to develop and easy to verify if is there any error or not. Okay. No. These functions can be of two types. Those are user-defined functions and predefined functions. Let me tell you about simple one first, predefined functions. Predefined functions means already developed. By the name, you can understand that predefined, already defined, already developed by the developers of the JavaScript. The JavaScript developers already developed some functions. When you install JavaScript, automatically the code relevant to the all methods will also be copied into your system. A good example for the predefined function are alert and write. Okay, we implement these later on. Alert and write. These are used to print something on the screen. These are predefined function. No need to write any code for this. Just call it. Automatically, you will get the output. We cover this point, code reusability. We cover this point also. Nothing but we can write our own functions also. That is called user-defined functions. Now, next point is how to work with functions concept. So we discussed what is function, what are the advantage of the functions. Yes, clear. But now, how to write the function, where we need to write the function, what is the syntax are needed to write a function. Basic point in JavaScript is we use the keyword. We use the keyword function. We use the keyword function to define a function. Okay, the keyword name is also a function. That function keyword is used to create a function. Very simple to remember, right? And that may or may not have the parameters. Parameters means what are the elements you want to use as an input to this function. Those are called parameters. Suppose I want to find out sum of the two numbers. Sum within the parenthesis 10 comma 20 or a comma b. You need to pass the values for the a comma b. Then only that function can receive the values and evaluate the results. Without having the parameters or without having the input, how can you perform the operations? That is wrong. See the simple code. So here we are going to define a function. The function name is say hello. How to define a function? With the help of the keyword function space function name. You can give any name here. In this example, my function name is say hello. Parenthesis. So here in the parenthesis, we are not writing anything. So this is called without parameters. A function without parameters. The meaning of that is we are writing a function, but we are not maintaining any parameters. That is also valid. Within that body, so we use curly braces to create the block for the functions. Within that, I am writing alert function. Alert something text within the double quotation mark. So when you run this code, a alert box is created, and within the alert, you will get the output like hello there. So this is how to use functions. And here you can understand that we are using one predefined function called alert here. Okay. And even though if you write any user defined function in your program, that will not be called automatically unless you call it. So this is the example code to understand the function will be covered later on. So this is about arrays, two-dimensional arrays, multi-dimensional array, and string arrays, and what is function, how to create a function. Then in the next session, we are going to implement the functions, how to create and how to execute the function, and so on. Okay. Still, if you have any doubts, please you can ask. Okay. Let me repeat what we covered in today's session. First, we started with arrays. The definition of the array is collection of the elements where the data type must be same. Like if you create integer array that is valid and that must contain only array elements. If you want to create float array is also valid. Your array must contain only float elements. You should not mix the different data elements that is valid. We use square bracket to create the arrays concept. And how to access the element? We use index mechanism that is 0 to length minus 1. Every element in the array, starting element in the array must be represented with 0. And the last element is represented with index length, last element that is length minus 1. Suppose if we have 5 elements in the array, the last element index becomes 5 minus 1, that is 4. Okay. Then how to assign the values? Array name within the square bracket index value, assignment that value. We have seen that already. Now, suppose if you want to create an array and print that, you can use with the help of the any output statement. The output statement we use document.writeLine. Okay, if you have 5 elements, you can use 5 times the document.writeLine statement. But if you have 50 statements, 50 elements, 100 elements, or 1000 elements, every time writing the document.writeLine statement like document.write array of 0, document.write array of 1 is not a good method. In such cases, we use loop. Already we covered that also, right? How to use the looping concept with arrays. So when you use looping concept, the line of the code will be decreased and that becomes very efficient. Okay, you can store and you can print n number of the elements by writing 8 to 10 lines of the code. That is a very advantage. Then After that, we started the functions concept. Functions concept is used to reusability purpose. Okay. And functions is nothing but a block of the statements. A big project can be divided into modules. The modules can be implemented with help of the functions concept. In JavaScript, we use the keyword function to create the functions. So this is what we covered just now. And we have two types of the functions, user defined, predefined. Predefined means already developed by the developers. User defined means you can define your own function also. So in the coming session, I will show you how to develop our own function. Those are called user defined functions. That's it about today's session. I share this document to your in charges. Please go through that. If you have any doubts, make it a note and you can ask me in the next session. I will clear your doubts if you have any. Okay, right. Thank you.